I don't have it. It's all together.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Not big deal.
Oh,
Got enough stuff.
yep. Better do this before you start. Next week we'll have a couple plans. They were just approved yesterday.
Okay.
I do know that.
It's 9 o'clock and I'll call the meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. Commissioner Waterman, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Number 2 on the agenda is call for public comment. So public comment can be submitted in person or by telephone at these 2 phone numbers, 605-882-6248 or 625-882-6297. And we have space at the end of the agenda for anybody that wants to comment. Are there any, number 3, are there any conflict of interest items?
No.
None for me. And I forgot to mention, if you have a cell phone, please silence it. If you need to take the call, please step out of the room. Number 4, is there a motion to approve our agenda? So motion by Van Duzen, second by Schwer. Any comments, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries. Number 5, action to approve our minutes from last week.
So moved.
Motion by Johnson. Second by Waterman. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries. Okay, and then you have an update from Eric Huntsweiler. So come on down, sir. About the Interlakes Community Action Partnership. So you're the CEO. Morning, Eric.
Push that button and talking on the mic. Right there.
All right. Good morning and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today. Many of you may know our longtime CEO Cindy Dannenbrink, retired almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago in January. So I kind of wanted to keep the same tone of coming in front of the commission every couple of years because you guys do support ICAP with our community service worker, especially in our Watertown office here. So on this handout, I did provide some statistical information from the last year on services that ICAP's provided in Codington County. We've been really busy with emergency rental assistance. However, the county, the sheriff's office here handles pretty much most of the emergency rental assistance applications, I would think here. So we do have a large grant that we received for the weatherization program. That's a $5 million grant for the next 5 years. It essentially sevenfolds the output that we can have in that program for the next 5 years. That's where we can go into people's homes and make them more energy efficient, whether it's windows, insulation, siding, doors, things like that. So it's a really good program. And we did 18 homes up here last year in Codington County. Additionally, we replaced or repaired around 20 furnaces. So that's important this time of year as well with the cold weather. Changes since the last time we met a couple of years ago. Our board took we really revamped the way we do business. We had a large board of directors, 42 members. Have a board member here today, Brenda Hanton, who's in our private sector representative. However, we had 3 representatives for each of the 14 counties that ICAP oversees, and we condensed that down to 15 board members. So we went from 42 down to 15. What does that mean for Codington County? We combined it into regions. So now Grant County and Dual County is combined with Codington County. With community action, it's important to have the public support. So we always partner with county commissions. And so our point of contact for Region 1 is actually Doug Stengel, who serves as a county commissioner over in Grant County. So every few years that comes up for re-election. So we would look at if anybody would be interested in serving on our board at that time. However, we do have Brenda that does serve on our board that can keep you up to date on anything related to ICAP. That is, most of what I wanted to present to you this morning, and I am available for questions. One thing I would like to say is our board of directors a few years ago really wanted to focus more on affordable housing initiatives, whatever that looks like, rental, building homes. Up here in Watertown, we are actually looking to expand our mutual self-help housing program, which is where we can hire a construction supervisor. And if we can get 4 eligible families that are interested in the program, we can teach them how to build their own homes. It's a successful program, one of the most successful in the nation. By the time they're done building their homes, they'll have about anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 of equity in their home just by doing the sweat equity themselves.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Which program was that? That's not on, that one's on it. Oh, it's
It's
back.
on the back. Yep.
All right.
Self-help housing.
Okay.
And I would like to note, if you go to our website, and you go to counties, each one of those programs that are listed there, if you click on it, it explains what the program is and eligibility guidelines for each program as well.
Mr. Chair, I can ask a question,
Yeah,
please.
please.
Eric, if somebody wants more information about ICAP, how do they get a hold of you, or how do they request
Sure.
services?
So interlakescap.com is our website. However, our county office is at 7 8th Avenue Southeast. Kind of.
Zero Codington Clark Electric.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you. I
you. Thank you
appreciate
very
your time.
much.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Next one is monthly reports of the auditor.
All right, good morning, everyone. I don't have a lot to report. Still waiting for the Department of Revenue to approve our 2024 levies. Also, like I said, monitoring these budgets. We're getting to the end of the year. There's a good possibility we'll have to do a formal budget supplement. We'll wait till after payroll is posted and see where all of those budgets end up. As you'll see in the claims, our court-appointed attorney bills are exceeding what we had thought. So that's kind of where that's all at. I don't have anything else unless someone has any questions.
Questions? Okay. Sarah. Welfare Director.
Morning, Sarah.
Good morning, thank you. Here is report. As I mentioned, we don't have the graph this month. The Helpline Center has a staffing change, and they did send it, but then we realized that the numbers were off. And so I did kind of give you wrong numbers. So what I have on my narrative here, and sorry, I don't have anything to put up on the screen, but on my narrative, it's just our current numbers of the welfare programs that we've provided, year-to-date numbers, and then monthly numbers, what we've provided. So, which I felt like that was kind of a good summary because here we are in December, and so these are what our numbers are this month. You can see rental assistance, we provided $1,013. Homeless rent was $800. However, we also have 15,000 because we did support Watertown Cares with 15,000. And since they've opened, we've had maybe one or two people that we've had to put in a hotel. They really have filled the gap of what we needed in our community for emergency housing. So that has been a huge help for us. Travel expenses, year to date was about $1,500. In the month is 328. That's really funds that we're spending to help people leave our county. Maybe they've ended up in our county for some other reason and don't want to stay here. And so that's how we have helped them leave our county. It's a one-time help. Well, we won't help them again. It's a one-time lifetime help. Or I guess it's every 3 years, sorry. But there is a limited, they can't come back and ask for travel help again. Prescription assistance, $100. ID and birth certificates is $223 over for the year. With that, they have to either have a job that says they have to have an ID in order to get paid, or they have to have a housing application that's requiring ID in order to get the housing assistance that they need. So we're not just helping anybody with it, it's helping them in case of job or housing, employment or housing for that. And then utilities, we've helped with $131 for a total of $3,771 for the year that we've helped out of kind of our welfare type of services. That's not including funerals, which is around 29,180 for the year. So just under 30,000 assistance for funerals, which is kind of its own thing. It's a whole different thing with that.
What did we have budgeted for funerals?
To 40,000.
So we're all right.
Yep. Yeah. And that's where some of the numbers from the Helpline Center, we have to figure out where they were pulling numbers from. I'm not sure on that. Yeah. So then any other questions on those numbers? With that? Okay. The rest of the report for the CARES ERA, which Eric mentioned that we Carrie administers, she's received 3,500 administrative fees that were reimbursed from the state for that. Our impact and CHW program, in October, we were reimbursed $6,945.52, and we got our first Medicaid reimbursement. I also want to thank Brenda she has created an account where that money is going to reflect back in our budget. In the past, when we've had grants, they've just gone into the main county budget. And these will reflect back into our budget to offset our costs. So that will be very helpful. And so Carrie and Paige are continuing to work on the Medicaid reimbursement pieces so that we can continue to get reimbursed and sustain that. They currently have about 16 clients enrolled. That's active clients. Carrie just completed her certification class, which was fantastic. A lot of work for her this semester, but she did a great job getting it done. She's finishing the process to become certified. Once she's certified, then we can bill Medicaid for her services as well with that. And she is starting to see clients as part of the impact program as well. Overall, the grant evaluators for that have scored us at 96% for reaching sustainability. And that means that we'll be able to sustain ourselves. We won't have to rely on a lot of county funding and those kinds of things. We can do that. That's the hope with that anyway, primarily Medicaid. Our office in general, again, as we talked about last week, we received that Beyond Idea grant for $100,000. And what that does, it allows me to contract with an organization to help lead some of the community meetings that I'm doing, as well as several other things. It will also help cover Angela's services that she's supporting as well. So it'll help cover a lot of different costs that way. I finished the Leading on Purpose course through NACO this week. That's been a great course, a really a lot of great application in that course as well. And then for the community work, the systems of care, strategic planning, our interagency meeting is this week, and that's going to be at our office with Brothers and Sisters Behind Bars. It's a networking meeting, so we'll take some time for everybody to visit and get to know each other. I did present at Kiwanis this month, and the Codington Connects update, our agency of the month this month is South Dakota Department of Health, or the WIC office, and Cody Martin, their director there, is our person of the month, or the individual of the month this month. Our community action team, we had a booth at the Goss nonprofit happy hour for Codington Connect, so it's fun to get the word out, to see people who don't know what it is, and also it's really fun to have people come up and say, I already know what you're doing, so that was great.
I said that.
Yes, he said that, thank you. It's great to see people knowing it. For housing, we just are this week sending out a request for proposals for a housing strategic plan and a housing summit. The Watertown Development Company is actually leading that. We're just supporting their work with that for the Watertown Development Company. With that. And then the same with the childcare grant. We're also sending out requests for proposals, and that's to work with some consultants to expand childcare services in the community. The rest is for my agenda items. So any questions on? Any questions on my report? That's
Apparently not. Such a wonderful report.
there's good things
I just,
happening.
I guess I would just like to add, you mentioned the development company as a representative for this commission. I appreciate your partnership with the development company, and there's been good things that have come out of that partnership, and
Yeah,
so keep driving forward with that because we're doing good things.
yeah, it's been great to work with them.
Yeah.
All right.
More to cover or just?
Nope, I have an agenda item.
Okay, all right, so, yeah, number 8 is the discussion possible action to change the name of the welfare office.
Okay.
To explain.
All right, so I'm back this month. We had talked about it last month, and so you had given me permission to bring it back this month. So between last month and this month, I wanted to just bring it back and talk about it. I want to start off by saying words matter, language matters, the tones we use matters, and that's the biggest reason for the requesting this name changes, because words matter. The idea of welfare to community services, there's a lot of stigma. I did because it's what I do, I did a little research and looking at where did welfare come from? Why did it happen? And some of the research I found, one quote I found was, this researcher said that people are afraid that handouts would encourage dependency assistance programs, stigmatize those who receive benefits to prevent them from asking for more, and to make it clear to others that there is an emotional price to pay. And I think that's what happens when we use language like welfare. We're stigmatizing people. I'd like each of you to just take a moment and think about, if you or your children or grandchildren were to need help and they had to come into an office like ours, how would you want them to feel about that? What would you want them? Would you want them to go in with dignity, or would you want them to feel ashamed about what they're having to do? Life hasn't turned out where they want it to for you or your family. And I think that's the point of what we're looking at for changing this. And so I really want you to keep that in mind as we're talking about this. Charlie, at the last meeting, you had mentioned that you had talked to some clients and that you didn't see a lot of support for it. So that's what we did. We went, we've surveyed in the last month, pretty much everybody that's walked in our office. We've surveyed with just a brief, short survey. And you have the responses here in your handout. The 3 questions. What do you think when you hear the word welfare? What do you think of when you hear community services? And then the third one was a multiple choice question of which would you choose? Which would you prefer to go to if you were new to a community, actually? And so we're not obviously going to go through all of these questions, but there's a lot of really great responses. And I would encourage you to take a minute to think about them. The general theme is that, and this is what one of our clients, it said, one of the first people to say something is, welfare is a place for poor people to go. Community service is where you go to get help. And I think the bottom line, that's what we're looking at, is we don't want people to think it's just for poor people. We want people to think it's a place where they go to get help. That's also why I included our organizational chart for our office, because most of what we do is providing support for people. Very little of it is actually the financial piece of it. We really want to support people. that's our mission in our office and that's what we are focused on doing. And so, again, lots of different comments in here that welfare means poor, lazy, and in the community services that it's a welcoming phrase to any individual seeking assistance within our community. Those are the types of responses that we got. So we did everybody that came into our office, and then I also sent it out to some people that like a group of people I didn't want to do community-wide. We ended up with about 68 responses, and on the back of your chart, on the back, there's a chart that lays it out. What the responses were. Of the 68, 5 people said it wouldn't matter to them to what name to go to. If they were new to a community and needed to get help, it wouldn't matter what the name was. 3 people said welfare they would go to, and 60 people said community services. So by and large, the response from the people that we interviewed or that filled out our survey was that they felt community services was what they would prefer to go to like that.
So is that the proposed name change?
Yes.
Is Codington County Community Services?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the name change.
Okay, we got a motion by Van Dusen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So second by Schwer. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I think you brought to light an issue, as we continue to mold and evolve our offices in county government, I think we have to do away with those previous stigmas that have been associated with some of those offices. So I think this name change is timely. I think it's today, and we want our folks to feel welcome when they come to our offices. And I really do like the community services. I think that the umbrella of what your office does, it does more than just provide support for people that need assistance. I mean, your office is an umbrella for community services. So I think this name change is highly appropriate, and I'm glad to support it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add a comment that, the word welfare kind of implies a handout.
Mhm.
And I think what you guys, a lot of you guys do is try to get people, it's more of a hand up. And so.
Yeah.
I kind of.
What are your
kinda-
thoughts about implementing it? When and how?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd like to change it as soon as possible. The timing, thank you, that's a good question. We actually are slated to be the agency of the month for Codington Connects for January, so the timing works out well that we can advertise our name change with that, in coordination with Codington Connects, doing some of that. So I think like planning to have our name changed by January 1st would be, we would contact the sign company to change our windows and.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, there's not a lot that needs to happen to make it happen, because there's just, I mean, it's
branding.
literally, yeah, it's just
Branding.
changing our signs
Mhm.
on our door.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries. All right,
Thank you all,
sir.
thank you, and thank you to everybody.
Okay, number 9. I think number 9 is action for the chair to sign a joint powers agreement for the state DOT, with the state DOT for bridge. Actually 9 and 10, same agenda item, but for different bridges. So the first bridge is 15-190-022. It's a good bridge. Yeah.
Good morning. Yes, this
Morning.
bridge, we got a grant to replace it. The first one is on County Road 11, 455th Avenue. About 0.8 of a mile north of State Highway 20 that goes to South Shore.
Sure. And it just, so I guess kind of these are similar agreements to what we've signed before when we've
Yes.
done bridges
Yeah.
under the big program. So the overall cost is 973,000 on this one. I guess maybe the other one is the paragraph ahead of construction engineering that, the state and the county work together on the engineering.
Yeah,
So,
there's, our portion would be 18.05% for the bridge. And the rest of the funding coming from the state and federal government, they pay for it and then we reimburse them that 18.5%.
Move to approve that.
so motion by Johnson's, I'm sorry. Charlie, second by Charlie, or second by Waterman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. No, that motion carries. Okay, the number 10 is same thing for bridge 15-178-160.
Okay, and this bridge is on 14th Avenue right here in town. That's our road, so both of them need to be replaced, so
What's our percentage on that one?
that one
Same.
is same thing.
18.05.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
So motion by Van Duzen, second by Schwer. So the overall cost is 3,690,000. And that, yeah, so that's the main difference between the two,
Yes.
the two documents. So, all right, any other discussion?
We've had weight limits on that bridge for
Yes, we
quite a
do.
while.
And the one up on County Road 11 has weight limits on it also. That got weight limited this year.
The one up on County Road 11 is just north of my place a little bit, and that's one of those that has the bridge rails, you know, the concrete bridge rails about like that,
That are cement.
that are cement. It's tough on a lot of stuff.
Especially
They don't-
cars when they run into them.
They don't give a whole lot,
Yeah, there's no give.
or combines with big heads.
Yeah,
All right, any other discussion?
that's a
Hearing none,
problem.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say no. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, number 11, action to approve the auditor's account with treasurer and note the register of deeds fees.
Have those documents in your package showing, at the end of the day, November. There goes $1,161,674. And all the other items, federal fund, pass on to the schools, the custodial fees, schools, townships, cities and towns, those are all portioned out. And then note the registered deeds fees of, 30,535.
Move to
Move to
approve.
approve. Oh, go ahead.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Van Dusen. All right,
That'll work.
any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say no. That motion carries. Number 12, action to declare 2 monitors and an HP Elite computer in the treasurer's office surplus to be destroyed.
Right, and so you have those in, it was when the treasurer had those workstation computers. There was 2 monitors that need to be destroyed, and then there is that HP Elite computer. So those 3 items asking to be surplus and destroyed.
Move to approve.
So motion by Van Dusen,
Second.
second by Schwer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say no. That motion carries. Number 13, review and possible action to approve and sign union contracts. I don't think we have the final ones yet on that one, but we're kind of keeping that on, because it's that time of year, we're keeping that one on the agenda. So that, I'm correct on that.
Yeah.
Right. And then number 14 is discussion of possible action to approve COLA, cost of living allowance for employee 2024 wages. And so let me just start that one off. Okay.
Are we
Okay.
ready to do that just yet?
I think we are,
Okay.
just the COLA.
So then I could get those documents prepared for payroll for January and sponsors.
Somebody wants to make a motion, we need to hear the percent in that. The percent we discussed was 4.
We discussed 3, we discussed 3.5. we discussed-
I'll make a motion to accept the COLA for 2024 at
2024.
4%.
And this is so this would be non-union employees because you'll do the union ones when you do the contracts, so
4%.
So 4%.
4%.
Commissioner Van Dusen, so that's the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So second by Schwer. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, that motion carries. All right. All right, and number 15, action to authorize the chairman and auditor to sign the Department of Legislative Audit Letter of Engagement.
Right, so last week, Jeff Schaefer with Department of Legislative
That's
Audit was
this one
in
here.
and gave you your opening remarks. We just need to have authorization for the chair to sign that contract, and it's going to be $89 an hour is what is in that contract this time.
Yeah, so we get to pay, so by law, we have to do this every 2 years and we get to pay the state auditor's office or the legislative audit office for it, so for their services, so. That's pretty good. How much do you say per hour?
$89.
Yeah.
Last time they did the audit was $75 per hour, so it's went up a little bit, and that was for the 19 and 20. They're doing years
Well,
21 and 22 right now, so then we'll be caught up.
A lot less than getting your tractor work done at the implement dealer.
Okay, so is there, is there? a
Move to approve.
So a motion by Johnson,
I'll second it.
second by Schwer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries. All right, number 16, action to amend the CCJAC, so the Codington County Justice Advisory Charter to include additional non-voting members. And that, if we do that, that would be resolution 2023-39. Let me, let me explain that one. Oh, that's kind of mine.
Is there a draft of that resolution?
It should be in the packet.
Yeah, it's this one.
Let me make sure I got it here. Show it
Okay.
on the big screen. Second here. Should be in there after,
It says
after,
draft on it.
after the auditor stuff. Okay, so basically there's just, it's a pretty minor change. So what we're finding is that, that it's nice to have some other non-voting advisory members. We want to keep the voting members the same, so the max number of voting members is 7. So if you, it's, you guys, everybody finding it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the RFP one, it's the CCJC, so it's where it says resolution 2023 dash ... So it's just down here. And right now the way the charter reads is we have up to 3 non-voting members. So that's a judge, the state's attorney, and the chief corrections officer, so the chief jailer. And I'm suggesting that we would want to be able to add a few more people. Right now, we'd like to add, for example, the head of HSA, so Carrie Johnston. I mean, we're seeing a lot of, I think we're seeing a bit of a lower jail population than we expected, you know, when we looked at these projections back a few years ago. And I think part of that has to do with, you know, it's hard to say exactly, but I think part of that has to do with the fact that we're paying attention to incarceration alternatives. And, you know, the head of HSA is one of the experts on there. So, but instead of putting something specific, you'll see the phrase, others appointed by, so we could add 2 more just based on who we want to appoint as non-voting members. So we're not adding to the voting, but we would like to formally say that, you know, this person is kind of an advisor to the committee. So that's basically the change. And that also would mean that we'd increase the total number from 10 to 12. So basically increasing it by 2, not the voting members, but the non-voting members. So I did a motion.
I'll make a motion to
So-
accept the request.
So we got a motion by Van Duzen,
I'll second it.
so second by Schwer. Any questions? Okay. All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say no. That motion carries. And then following that, we got number 17, which is the action to appoint a couple of new members. So we have a new voting member. So but 2 weeks ago, we appointed a new voting member, and we had 2 folks that wanted to step away. So we appreciate the service of Larry Wallace and Matt Krantz. So we appointed 2 weeks ago Ryan Keller, and now we have another voting member, and that's Francis Strophus from he's from Henry, I believe. So that's I think he'll be a good member. He was a former school board member. So I think he'll be a good member to help us out. So and then that'd be the new voting member. The new non-voting member I'm suggesting is Carrie Johnston. So she's the head of HSA. So I think that'll be also very useful just to have her opinion. So I'd entertain a motion to appoint those 2 new members.
So move.
So a motion by Schwer. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Van Duzen. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Isn't it? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, so then another CCJC item is the RFP. So this is again, bit of my thing I've been working on. And you should have a copy of this in front of you, and I think the auditor emailed you a copy as well yesterday. So we have a request for proposals. This would be to basically for pre-design services for an architect. So this is the thing we budgeted for in our budget. We have $70,000 budgeted for it. Hopefully it wouldn't be that much. But one of the reasons we want to get that cost down, or one of the ways we get it down, is by competing it and doing a request for proposals. Under state law, this particular kind of service, we could just go find our own architect and hire them without a bidding process. But this kind of, the RFP kind of duplicates that. So basically you can see on there the services that we'd be asking for. There are a couple tweaks on, I think, a separately printed copy from what is in your packet, just to put dates, when due dates, points of contact, if people, architects are interested. So essentially what this is for is walking us through that process that we went through in 2016, 2017 to do the pre-design work, to tell us what our options are. So we know we still have issues with our jail. Hopefully it doesn't have to be as big, because the population is not quite as much as we thought it would be. Based on the projections we did before. So, but we still need a new jail. And so this is this would be the first step. So this is what the CCJAC recommended as an advisory committee. And it's essentially an updated version of the RFP we issued back in 2016, taking out the stuff for the court, because we successfully dealt with the court space. So it's just jail space now. So all those edits have been made. If we approve this, we'd want to get proposals back. Let's see, the due date I put in here was
January 17th.
January 17th. Yeah. So that would be, yeah. So I asked an architect, is that a reasonable amount of time? And that would give us some time and then we, as a CCJAC, the best way to do it is to go through it, have those guys go through the proposals, and then maybe do a couple interviews. And so we'd be looking at, late February, early March of actually accepting a proposal from somebody, assuming we get proposals. So any questions? Well, we need a motion and a second to do this. So this is budgeted. But to see exactly where that comes in, hopefully it would come in under what we budgeted.
Make a motion to approve the RFP request.
So we got a motion by Van Dusen to publish an RFP. This RFP.
I'll second it.
So second by Schwer. Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm kind of questioning the value of this RFP.
Okay.
We did a study last time and they told us would be between 125 and 150 bed jail. If we'd have built that thing back then, we'd be grossly over. Have space, we'd have increased our jailer's budget, we'd have increased our sheriff's budget. I don't see any reason other than the fact that there's a couple parties that want a new jail desperately, worse than a cow wants her calf. And that's an old rancher statement.
Well,
And therefore, I can't see spending $70,000 on another study.
okay. So I just say that the recommendation they came back with was 120 bed jail. So at that time, that was in 2017.
Well, it still is.
Hopefully, yeah.
Double what we do now, Lee.
It would be good if it was less. So I guess that the question is, do we need a new jail or not? I think we do.
So I think the recommendation that came back from the Codington County Justice Advisory Committee in the meeting last week that Lee and I were both at, and if you have a chance, I would encourage you to attend that meeting and so that you can hear the discussion that goes on there. Some of the concern wasn't so much about the bed space as it was about the safety of the staff in a linear jail. And so we're dealing with a jail that was built back in the 70s. It's linear in design. People are getting injured in our jail. And so that's another concern too, that we have to look at, in addition to the bed space, Charlie, as you mentioned. I'm not saying that I don't disagree with you, but sooner or later, we're going to have to do this. Sooner or later. And so This is just putting it out there for an RFP to see what the numbers come back as and I guess I'll continue to support that. So till we get.
So, and
I've never supported the jail aspect. If they talk about safety, I've thought about that very seriously.
Mhm.
And the fact is, maybe we should have more training on safety with our jailers. If we go to a pod type system where you don't have as much confinement, what's to saying that there's going to be less personal injury amongst prisoners?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't know that there's any less confinement in a different structure, but that's not something we've
You know,
already discussed,
we've
but
got, not to interrupt you, we've got by Senator John Thune's report over our individual stuff costs us $11,000 more a year than it did before COVID and the inflation came along. That's what it costs us personally on all of the increases.
I'm sorry, what
$11,000 a family
for,
for groceries,
oh,
for
okay.
taxes, for clothing, for basic.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. I mean, the longer we wait, the more this thing is going to cost. So that's another thing that I'm concerned about. But we'll see, we do, we don't really have a good sense of that because we don't have the expertise to map out, what we need. And to get a good estimate of.
And the RFP
what
may
this will
come
cost.
back. The RFP may come back just totally out of line. We don't know until we get it back.
So we could get proposals that exceed our budget for that item too. And then we'd have to make a decision at that point. So that's, any other comments?
Well, I think the thing that, and I've been through this whole rigmarole since day one. What frustrates me is we do these studies, RFPs, and we don't have a jail yet. You really wonder what's going wrong? What are we doing wrong? Or what's happening? It's kind of like planting a tree, the best time to plant it was 20 years ago, and second best time is now. So maybe now is the time that we need to build the jail. Maybe the third time is a charm. I don't know. But it does frustrate me to spend $70,000 and we don't have the money. I know it's in the budget, but it doesn't mean you have to spend it. I just wonder if there's another alternative to doing RFPs. I don't know. I know I'm not smart enough to build a jail. I don't know all the ins and outs and all the things that we need to do. We need some assistance. I don't know. We've kept using the excuse of kind of kicking the can down the road with, well, maybe the state will help us out. Well, I'm sorry, I'm almost ready to give up on the state. They're building a penitentiary now and they're building a women's facility and it doesn't seem like they really care too much about the counties. It's as far as incarcerating goes, and I don't know if we need to wait a little bit longer. The other part too that I've just been thinking of, when we send this RFP out, the cost is going to be a factor. I think I have a gut feeling that inflation is going to start coming down. I think all of the statistics and the things that I read, it sounds like we're headed in the right direction anyway. And you take 2, 3, 4% inflation factor out of these $1 million projects, and that's quite a chunk of money. And maybe we'd be better off if we wait. Are we ready for this yet? That's my concern right now. Are we financially ready to do this? Or do we have other obligations that we need to get taken care of before we continue on this road? I don't know. I'm a little bit frustrated about just exactly what way to go. I know he who hesitates is lost. That's what they say, but I don't know. I'm just kind of up in the air about the whole thing.
Yeah, if I could comment on a couple of things you said, Commissioner Johnson. So I think we don't want to kick the can down the road. And so I appreciate that point you made. And yes, the rate of inflation hopefully will go down, but that doesn't mean that still means the prices are higher. The rate of inflation, prices don't actually go down, but the rate of inflation might go down. So I know gasoline is a bit different. So keep that in mind. I mean, whatever we see is likely to be more expensive than what we looked at in 2017. And generally speaking, the longer you wait, especially when you're talking about construction, the more expensive it gets. So, I think the responsible thing to do is it's been 6 years. Okay. So I think the responsible thing to do is at least take another look at this thing and putting out an RFP. I mean, we can see what the proposals come back as, this just puts out an RFP and asks for proposals from architects to help us work through the pre-design. The other thing I would say is, we are responsible under state law. Counties are responsible to provide jail space. So we're kind of stuck, and it's got to be adequate jail space. We know, from the workman's comp claims that we get from, from the jailers, like Commissioner Van Duzen was referring to the fact that there's more injuries than that. And that's because, it's a tough crowd that folks are dealing with in the jail. And you have to sometimes subdue people. And so there's, in the better facility you have, we're asking people to basically do a very hard job with kind of hand tools. So it's kind of like going from a handheld circular saw to a table saw. I mean, and we're not at the table saw level yet. If that's it, I know that's not the greatest analogy, but anyway. So any other discussion? Go ahead.
I guess watching this over the years, until we have a better way of funding this, because we've tried to increase and bring it to the vote of the people. And we're probably in a worse situation now with what inflation has done to people's income, as Charlie has alluded to. And I've been in the jail. I know what it's like. It's the fact that, yeah, it is unsafe. You do it for the safety part. I'm not so sure that it's just getting it where we can make it pay, like Commissioner Johnson. We have to be able to have the money or have access to more increase in tax or something. And I know that isn't happening, and we're trying to rely on the state, and that's not happening. And it's a tough sell.
So the question that we have to ask with, I understand exactly what you're saying, Commissioner Schwer, and I appreciate those comments. I'm on the same page with you, but, the first time we took a run at this, it was 1,900 votes, almost 2,000 votes that we needed to get it passed on that.
The difference between, like, if no votes have been yes.
Right.
We were shy
And then
of
in 2017, I think it was 72.
Yeah,
Right?
so we're making progress.
So
I think we are. I mean,
who knows what it would be if we took a third shot at it? I don't know.
Well, I think the key point there is, that it's in, the county back in 2014 that, that it was a new thing. I mean, this is hopefully something you don't do that often. I mean, you don't want to have to build a jail very often, but, and so learned a lot from it, and then went back and I think we did a decent job of educating the public on the needs and what the situation was, what we wanted to do. And that's why that difference went down from, 2000-ish to 72. So basically what we're talking about is just so people that are watching understand. So if 72 of the no votes have been yes votes, it would have passed last time in 2017. That was pretty close. So anyway.
And things have changed since that time drastically, but
Yes, they
Who
have,
knows?
Commissioner Van Duzen. We are financially strapped more than ever as far as the taxpayers go. The taxpayers themselves are financially strapped. Not only when they go to the grocery store, look at the price of a new vehicle. And that's all got to come out of there. Those are basic needs for the people.
And that's why you go to we typically go to a vote of the people. I mean, and we've taken multiple runs at trying to make this less expensive with the legislature by using a sales tax mechanism, having that option for the voters. But we've turned, I think I've done it about 3 or 4 times. I've lost track, at least 3, proposed a bill to do that. And, but right now, the way this works, the way county government is set up is we basically, levy enough to do our day-to-day, our operational expenses. When it comes time for a big piece of infrastructure that's not a road, that's a building, then you have to basically go to the people and say, okay, we need to levy a bit more property tax. And so the challenge is going to be, controlling that. We don't have, like Commissioner Johnson said, we don't have the expertise to plan all this out. We're not architects, we're not construction engineers, but that's when you need good expertise, you pay for it. And so, that's what this is about.
So
So,
the company that you're sending this out, is this a general publication for an RFP or?
Yeah,
is it
so-
going
so
out
we
to
put
be
it-
a Specific company.
well, that's an RFP. The purpose of an RFP is to get more proposals from multiple companies. Yeah. So we'll put it on our website. You know, if we know a few architects, we might let them know, like, hey, would you like to propose? You know, that, if you know of any, you're welcome to forward them the link. So that's kind of how this works. I don't think we're required to advertise it in the newspaper, not that, but we'll put it out on our website. So if we approve this,
Do you recall the last time we did this, how many proposals did we actually get?
We got
I'm
10.
trying to think,
10.
10. I know there were a number of them
Yeah.
and at this point, that's what, we wouldn't have to select any of them.
You wouldn't have to, no, even if you get,
We could just say good information. And
in theory,
so
yes.
the $70,000 that I was alluding to, we wouldn't have to spend any of it really. We just say we don't accept any of the proposals, and just take a look at what we got, and
Well, I don't feel it's financially responsible to spend 70,000 on another study.
a lot of money.
Okay, all right, any other discussion? All right. Maybe we need to do a roll call.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, yeah, auditor, please call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Gable,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Maybe.
that's not a.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen.
Aye.
Commissioner Schwer,
I,
Commissioner Waterman,
no,
4 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion carries and, yeah, thank you. All right, so number 19 is action to approve. of
No abatements today.
No abatements, no, number 19.
We do have the claims, and I did go through and highlight some of those for you. On page 1, your association dues and NACO dues were paid this month. Page 3, that's kind of the big one, court-appointed attorney. That was just from this month, so
Crazy.
yeah, so we got to see now where that all ends up. And then in the government buildings, you can see where the curtains for the clerk of court's office came out of that. Transit did request their funding for the year, so that came out this month. On page 5, the integrated tech, that was the cameras for over at the detention center. And I think those were kind of the bigger ones that I went through and picked out for you, and
So the biggies, there's court appointed attorneys.
yeah,
Okay.
the 99.
$99,000.
So,
Yeah.
the total amount, 1,548,471.89, $612,500.52 were state pass-through dollars. So the actual county amount is $935,971.37.
Okay, any questions, discussion?
I hope the general public hears this loud and clear. We spent $99,395, 95.97 on court reported. There's where we could really get some help from the state. They would step up and I think they're starting to hear the thunder and maybe recognize that maybe they could help us there. That would really help.
Yeah, and that was,
That's just this. month.
1 month.
It's 1 month. I don't know
Yeah.
what the total has been for the year.
Oh,
to date.
I'll have that because we'll
It's a
have to
lot.
do a supplement, I'm sure. So,
so
yeah.
yeah, it's just so to follow on Commissioner Johnson's comment, and we've mentioned it before, but the state is looking at it. We'll see what happens because the state's concerned about their own budget, but just different mechanisms for assisting counties with court appointed attorneys, so basically defense attorneys, because we don't have a public defender's office. In most counties in South Dakota don't have a separate public defender's office. A few do. And then also the UJS, Unified Judicial System, did a working group about this specifically. They call it on indigent legal costs. So we'll see what happens. So I'm hearing both, some pessimistic vibes and some maybe vibes from that, just to give folks a sense of that. So any other discussion?
basically what I was saying is that all of us around here, we know our legislators, we know who they are. We see them on the street every day. Remind them. We need some help. That's one area that they could really step up and help us out.
So if I might add to that, if you don't mind.
Hmm?
Our
Sure.
beginning amount that we budgeted was 692, 875. Just kind of taking a stab at it, because we changed that up last year with our court appointed attorney contract. So, and the end of the month of, that would have been in the end of October, we had 86, 863.37 left in there, so.
You had what left over?
Say-
86,000,
Oh.
863.37.
And that's at the end of October, you said, or end of November?
Oh, they did. Let me look. Up end of November. I take it back.
Okay.
75,000. 196.80. I had to go one more page.
Yes.
I'm sorry. $75,196.80.
Actually came pretty close.
That's pretty clear. That's pretty good, yeah.
So,
It's like a slam.
That's still
dunk.
$100,000 monthly bill.
Yeah.
It's like a slam
yeah.
dunk. in
so
in
each
budget.
month is a little, each month is a little different depending on what you have on.
Yeah. That's a very tough one to predict, but that was this is our first
Yeah.
pretty much full year of doing CAA, the court appointed attorney way of doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? This is the most we've ever talked about claims. I mean, it's just paying the bills. So anyway,
Well, it's good conversation.
Well, we can't say turn the lights off. We
do we
can't,
get, do
we
we
don't
have,
have any control
Sorry, do
over
we have
it.
a
That's the
motion?
problem, you know? If
Yeah.
there's a light bill, we'd say, go around and shut the lights off, but
Yeah.
they can't do that here. That's
so
what's frustrating.
would somebody like to make a motion so that we can pay the bills? That would be,
So moved.
so motion by Johnson,
I'll second
second by Schwer, more discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That motion carries. All right, that's a lot of discussion on bill. Okay, and then number 21, action to approve automatic budget supplements, Welfare Office, Department of Health Innovation
We
Grant.
had one of those last week. We have another one in the amount of $6,953.70, and this will go back into the welfare budget.
So moved.
Motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Van Duzen. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. That motion carries. Number 22, Commissioner contingency transfer. I guess we have something?
No,
We don't?
I just
Okay.
have that on the
Oh,
agenda, so
because
when
toward
we
the end of the
need to
year.
do
Yeah,
it,
okay.
yes,
Okay.
we'll be ready.
Personnel changes, I don't think it's.
None, no travel or personnel.
personnel. Okay, public notices, possible quorum of commissioners could be in attendance at. Anything? I don't think I'm not thinking of anything right now. There's always Christmassy stuff going on, but nothing's coming to mind.
Just a reminder for the public that we will be meeting on that last week in December on the 28th of December.
Instead of.
It'll be a Thursday instead
instead
of a
the
Tuesday.
Yep,
Yeah.
I will put that on next week's agenda, just to note that as well.
Okay.
We have our Christmas potluck here next week.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday, no,
Thursday.
this Thursday,
This Thursday.
this Thursday.
I don't know if I'm gonna be back for that.
Be a quorum.
you invited?
No, that's all, guys.
You got
Okay.
it. It was an
Okay.
email.
Oh, yeah.
It was an email.
That's right. I forgot. I'll be there.
Okay, and then, so. Any old business?
There you go.
Any new business? Okay, now that brings us to the open, so I think we do have, Tim, did you want to come up and go for some public comments? So please come on up
Morning, Jim.
and tell us who
Morning,
you are.
Morning. Looks like.
Yeah, Dorian, yeah.
Thank you for giving me some time this morning. I guess for anybody watching, Jim Sire, Glacial Lakes Energy CEO.
Jim,
I'm here to respond to.
I'll have you get closer to the
I'm
mics.
here to respond to the folks that were here at the last meeting to talk about the CO2 pipeline. I guess I want you folks to hear about from our perspective and the importance of this project. It's no secret, and we hear it every day, no matter where we go, whether we're talking about a weather event or some other aspect of commerce, that markets are asking, in fact, they're demanding low CI products. We make a product from locally grown corn that is a very high production rate. When we look across all four of our plants, Watertown, Aberdeen, Mina, Huron, we make 1 million gallons a day. And anybody care to guess? You can't answer this. How much did this
do we sell locally?
5%.
We sell 1.5 million out of 366 million gallons locally. So there's a lot of folks out there, well, just sell more of it locally, you know, and we've tried to do that through the E30 challenge, which you guys supported. But to say that these markets, these low carbon fuel markets aren't important to this industry and this company is a huge understatement. It's a huge understatement. GLE points west when we ship product. And what I mean by that, it's better for us to ship west. Well, who's out west? California, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and we do ship out of our Huron plant into Canada. These are all low carbon fuel markets. So it's critical that we're able to continue to serve these markets. But this goes really beyond fuel markets for vehicles. It really goes to the opportunity that's developing for sustainable aviation fuel. And that is the aviation fuel market, jet fuel. That market is 3 times the size of ethanol at a 50% blend. And I've got some articles here I'm going to hand out that there are 2 major jet engine manufacturers now that have come out and says we can run 100% sustainable aviation fuel. So I'll hand those out to you afterwards. The catch is it must be low. It must have a low CI score, carbon intensity score. All of our plants score in the upper 50s to even get the attention of Delta and American and some of these Southwest airlines. We need to be much, much lower than that. So this project takes our score down by about 50%, 40 to 50%. So, I mean, just to get into that market, just to get the attention of those major players, we need a lower score. They will not pay up for higher CI fuel. They'll go somewhere else. And these facilities that make aviation fuel might go somewhere else as well if South Dakota doesn't embrace this project. You know, North Dakota has ethanol plants sitting right over the formation that we want to inject in. So they're probably first and foremost on the list, but the market is so huge that, you know, it's going to take more than what North Dakota can make. It's going to take more than what the ethanol industry itself can make. So when you think about, you know, next steps for our industry, this is a critical one. This could be a very big deal for us. It could be as big or bigger than ethanol was itself. The Mina and Aberdeen plants are 12 miles apart. Right now, they're ranking up there very high in terms of, you know, just attractiveness for a project. Between the 2 plants over there, we make 200 million gallons of ethanol of that 366. 200 million of it comes out of there. These plants are running in the plant in Watertown here is running about 125 to 130 million. So we actually make more ethanol in the Aberdeen market than we do here. With our recent purchase of the advanced bioenergy plants, which was the Aberdeen and Huron plant. That project, if we were to do something there, and we have had interest from a associated party of ours, would be a $700 to $800 million project. Just to give you an example of what that would mean, it would be another facility located next to the ethanol plant. Large plants like Watertown have advantages. In other words, if we were charged with not building a jail, but building a sustainable aviation fuel plant, we'd be looking for economies of scale in these large plants. We're not going to go looking, you know, for instance, at Huron we're not going to jump over Watertown to go to Huron. That's a much smaller plant. We're going to come to Watertown. We're going to go to Mina, and we're going to build those facilities there. In this article, Rolls-Royce and GE have both tested and I guess I'll hand it out right now, but both tested their jet engines
GE has, and I didn't read these real carefully. I was in a hurry because I wanted to get you some information, but GE is responsible for 75% of the jet engines in commercial aircraft right now. So that's a big, huge step. It's a commitment that GE, the manufacturer, has made. They're running through their models and they're testing this 100% sustainable aviation fuel. So as I said, this could be the best opportunity yet for the ethanol industry, and with that, the local economy and the ag economy and everything that you guys talk about here. It's interesting. I've been in front of the Brown County Commission, Edmonds County, and Codington County, and you know, I hear a common theme is where's the money going to come from? Well, these projects, not only is it, you know, when the pipeline is built, not only does that provide property tax revenue, but that means GLE in each of its plants will look at its new score and say, now what do we need to do to keep pushing that score down? And I can tell you there are a multitude of multi-million 7- and 8-digit projects that we've identified that we would initiate. And some of those are already underway at the Mina plant. Because they just have a better return on that big plant up there as we speak. They're projects to conserve energy, they're projects to make us more efficient. And we've got 2 projects that are worth about 25 million right now to do that. That's going to roll into Edmonds County when they're complete, when they're brought online. You know, we're going to save on the one side, probably pay a little more on the property taxes. You know, we're okay with that as long as we're saving it on the other side. Going beyond the property tax aspect of this, 60% of GLE shareholders are in Codington County or counties that touch Codington County. I should rephrase that. 60% of shares owned by shareholders are in Codington counties or the 5 or 6 counties around us. A setback would keep our Watertown plant from leaving town, and we have that challenge in Brown County right now. How do we get the CO2 out of town? Because these setbacks up there are going to essentially, at this point, lock us out of hooking onto the pipeline. Out in Mina, it's a little different story, and you know, we're working with Edmonds County, and we think they're you know, so I don't think anybody at GLE doesn't believe in setbacks. We believe in reasonable setbacks. And some of these counties are going out there and putting these unreasonable setbacks that really have one purpose, and that's to kill the project altogether because they don't want it. A setback in Codington County, if it's unreasonable, would keep us from leaving town with the pipeline, really leaving us with maybe 2 options: trucking it out or railing it out. Now, I can tell you, we aren't on the Union Pacific, but the Union Pacific already has a plan to haul CO2 by rail. We've seen the literature on it. So we're on the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and I don't think it would take them long to get interested in this. In fact, we've had initial meetings with them, and they asked us about you know, the possibility of railing CO2. Land values, the farm economy are driven off this industry. And, you know, again, I guess we'd ask for your thoughtful consideration when if you're going to look at these setbacks. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jim. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, very informative. Thank you. Thanks for your patience waiting for us to get through the rest of the meeting too. Yeah. All right.
Education, right?
Now, and that brings us to commissioner comments. Any comments from the commission? So just a note, I'll be attending the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners executive. We have a board meeting. I'm not on the executive committee, but we have a board meeting tomorrow, so that's where I'll be. Again, you know, continuing to talk about legislative issues, some interaction with some of the other statewide associations like the Municipal League.
The one thing, I did attend the South Dakota Retirement Board of Directors meeting Wednesday. And you can rest assured the fund is 100% fully funded and will continue to be fully funded. We looked at COLAs for for this coming year, we're looking at, 1.97. So we're talking about a 4% increase here. It's a lot more than what the COLA is actually for the South Dakota retirement. A year from now, we even look out that far. It's gonna be less than that, just the way the economy is rolling. So the point is that it's still 100% funded and you'll be getting your monthly checks and it's all good.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you. Do we have a need for executive session?
No.
I don't think we do, especially since our HR person's not here. Yeah. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
So motion by
Second.
Swear, second by Johnson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. That motion carries. We are adjourned.
Jim,
Thanks,
before you
Jim.
get out of the, I had a question the other day. What's the size